17 years of nothing, and they bring us back for a MOBA. Ha, figures.
It's not the MOBA, it's a Hero Brawler! Hero Brawler, however, Hebe, you made that up!
Nope, but Blizzard sure did.
Ugh, you guys are so getting us fired, do you know that?
10 seconds.
Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Squad. Today we'll be playing another game of Heroes of the Storm. It's been a few months since launch, and since then I've been playing with a lot of heroes and I'm ready to make a lot more videos, if you like it or not. Today we're playing a really awesome, unique kind of hero, but they're extremely hard to play with. I'll be honest, I'm not the best player with it yet, far from it. But in this video you will get a good idea what you're up against if you're playing against the Vikings, or if you're interested in playing the Vikings. The Lost Vikings, they're not one hero, they're 3 heroes in total, and they all 3 play as a different role in a normal dungeon or in a normal team fight. You've got Balor the Fierce, that's your general DPSer. He has some ranged and melee attacks. His range isn't the best and his melee isn't the best, but he gets the most damage done for the heroes. You've got Eric the Swift. Eric has a speed buff, has a longer range than the other heroes. He's your general ranger, and because he's got a bit faster speed buff, he's really easy to use to get objectives or just other traits like stealth. In this map, 3 Vikings are extremely good because it's a 3-laned map, which is vital for the Vikings. If it's not a 3-laned map, you shouldn't be using the Vikings. You're not getting enough out of them and the risk is just too big. The whole idea about the Vikings is that you can split push 3 lanes at one time. It's really hard and you see my Vikings dying here all the time. But as you can also see, we are already 2 levels ahead of the enemy team. We're just 3.5 minutes in. When executed correctly and your team is ganking up the enemy team's player, you can split push 2 or 3 lanes at a time and get really fast through the towers. That's why you'll always see that the Vikings have at least the highest XP contribution and most of the time the highest siege damage, because they're at 3 places at once. Because they are at 3 places at once, they are really hard to play with, and if you're not cautious enough, they will die without you even knowing. Well, knowing until it's too late. This map is really awesome to play with the Vikings, because you are the only hero that can easily get the Ring Knight on his own. Else it's always a team fight and really tedious and hard to get, but not like this. As you can see here, we did have some problems with our team and what they were doing, like Diablo not knowing where to help and not going top. How bigger the Viking, or more health they have, and in general how slower they are. You can see Olaf here. He's the big and thirsty guy. He's the hardest to kill, but doesn't do a lot of damage. But at the same time, he does have a small stun. He's your real tank. And as you can see here, we are just getting the Dragon Knight. While everybody else can push along with the Dragon Knight, the best thing to do with the Vikings is whatever happens, just keep on gaining that XP. Difference will really increase when they're all in the team fights. You're soaking the lanes. Because of that, you're putting your team in level advantage so much ahead that they won't even miss the 5th player in the team fights. Our Z ability, normally that would be your mount, is a haste. It's just a small speed buff to buff up all your Vikings. That's the way all the abilities with the Vikings work. You unlock them one by one, except the speed buff. But when one does them, all Vikings do them. The Vikings, they're pretty. It's really hectic the first 10 games you play, but when you do, it's real ease not to need to be bothered with the team fights. Just by keeping your Vikings alive and knowing when and where you need to be. The biggest disadvantage is that one Viking can almost do nothing. At least not on his own. Only soak some XP and that's it. You will need the rest of your team if you want to do anything more than just that. That's why Eric just died. Really fast. Kerrigan and the Stitches, no match. Eric is just no match against him. Even there, Diablo and Jaina, you're just screwed. That's how easy it is. As you can see, on our 1 until 3 skills are the selection of the Vikings. So you can play them one by one. And at 4 you can select all Vikings if you want to play with your Vikings as a team. That if you're gonna engage in a team fight, that's the way to do it. The Vikings have a really interesting trait, that is that it's really important to get all the health regen globes, the little balls the mages drop, because they will be getting. Oh, Balog just died and Eric just died. Olaf really gotta be careful here, but that's why he rests them, and that's the heroic I chose. Our Q ability in this build, it's a small damage increasing ability. It's when all the Vikings will whirl around them and just deal some AoE damage around them. Our W ability is an evade. It will make our Vikings invulnerable and let them fly off for a second or two. Our heroic is what you just saw, of really fast respawn for the Vikings. I tell here team to play as a team because they're all doing the different stuff, and that's not something you can have when you're playing as the Vikings. You should be in charge of the XP and the rest of the kills. Really fast here. Try and help out Diablo, but that is not necessary, so we try to just see if we can get it, but we can't because Stitches is there. You can really see here how big the speed difference is, and we just killed Olaf. That was not necessary and really stupid. The 3 Vikings, or the Lost Vikings as they're really called, are from one of Blizzard's oldest games, oldest franchises, Lost Vikings, and it originally started at January of 92 or 93 even. They did have a second game. It's something Eric streams all the time. The original game is free to play on Battle.net. You can get it there for free, and it's really awesome to play. But they are actually pretty hard. In general, the old games are just hard. That's always the case. But it's really different, the Lost Vikings, because you got just like here. That's why it's a really good tribute, this hero, to them. You've got 3 different characters you need to play separately, but with different powers and abilities, and just it's really awesome way to puzzle this. As you can see here, we are getting Dragonite. That's the best thing you can do. In that way you can soak up XP in 2 lanes and still be awesome with the Dragonite. The only problem is, no one of our team helps us and we get killed really easy. We are here in some of the team fights. What is really dangerous for us now, because Beog is the only hero we've got left. As I now know, we should have used our heroic, so we could respawn all of our heroes and we would be fine. I try again to explain the game to our teammates, and hopefully they understand it and now play with us. We did make some kills back then. 4 of them are dead and only one of our Vikings and Vela died, so it's not too bad. Not all is lost. I try and lure Stitches into a team fight with our minion camp, or siege camp, and it really worked. Vela followed us and died, and with a little bit of luck we can kill some more. Of course we can't, and Nova just got away. And just when you thought Olaf was doing something, he died because I didn't watch out enough. Luckily we've got our heroic and we all respawned. Eric the Swift got a Dragonite, and this time we push all together. At least all the Vikings. Our teammates are pushing bot lane. The Vikings really got a lot of humor to them, as they have a lot of quotes they say while playing with them. Like, they sneakily drink the beer out of Chan's barrel when you walk behind them. It's the little things like that that really make the Blizzard games, especially this Blizzard game, really awesome, and they really know how to do the little gimmicks. And that's what's cool about Blizzard games. The little references across the manchas. And it's not only in Heroes of the Storm where there's a big mix up, but it's generally with all of them. There's also a small tribute to the Lost Vikings in StarCraft 2. In the original campaign of StarCraft 2, Liberty, Wings of Liberty, you can play an arcade game called Lost Viking, where you play as a Viking unit of StarCraft 2 that is lost somewhere in space, just like the original Lost Vikings were lost somewhere in space-time. We really are still pushing, and we are getting quite some hero damage, quite some damage to the enemy core. The thing the Vikings really suck at is hero damage. That's why I most of the time skip the team fights, because it's just not worth it. You are too easily to target, you just don't do enough damage. Sometimes Olaf can be a good choice to put into the team fight because of his stun, and he is not that squishy, but normally I would not do it. We are now preparing for a final push into the enemy core, and while the Vikings are still dying, we are doing enough damage to the core to put it out of its misery and win this game. As you can see here, our siege damage and hero XP contribution was really high. And if there are any questions or you want to know something else about the Vikings, just hit me up, and until next time.